Good morning, everybody, and afternoon for people who are on the East Coast, and evening for people in other parts of the world. My name is Lisa, and I am the Community Manager for Blogger. Today, joining me again is David Kutcher. We're presenting another edition of Hangout on Air to talk about a business, a feature that we think really would help businesses who maintain a blog. So 2 weeks ago, we did our first Hangout on Air, and we talked about why using Blogger and having a blog is useful for your business. And today, we're showing you, in particular, one feature that we think is really useful for business blogs, and that is being able to embed a form, a Google Spreadsheet form, into your blog. And David's going to show you how to customize it, make small tweaks on it to make it more custom, to kind of fit the rest of your blog and to fit the rest of your business. So just a little bit of kind of background on how this works. So I will be looking at comments while David is doing the demo today. So if you have any comments that you'd like for us to address during the Hangout, please just post them in the Blogger Plus page. And also, this will be available if you want to come back and watch it later. If you notice that if the demo is a little too fast for you, you can view this on our YouTube channel later on, and we'll be posting a link to it from the Blogger Plus page. Okay, and with that, let's get started. So, as you guys know, Blogger is a Google product, as is Google Docs, and in particular Google Spreadsheets. Unfortunately, there isn't a way to just open a quick dialog and add a spreadsheet into Blogger. But there is a way to take the snippet of code snippet and then embed it into your blogs. And David will be walking you through how to do that today. And then on top of that, there's kind of like a varying level of, how savvy.
Sorry about that.
That's all right. See, things do happen on Hangouts.
They do.
We're not machines. So there's varying levels of savviness for what you do with a blog and the type of spreadsheet that you use. So just as an example, one of my friends got married recently, and I actually created a blog for her as a wedding site. So I'm going to show you real quick what that looks like. Let's see. Share screen. Okay, one moment. Please hold. Okay. Doesn't seem to be working. That's all right. So what I ended up doing was I gave her a blog that she could update with, things leading up to the wedding. And for different sections of it, there were like things like, oh, here's the location of where the wedding will be. Here's their story. Here we embedded a video. And then for the RSVP form, I added a Google Spreadsheet where the guests can go and fill in, whether or not they're coming to the event. And then from her end, she could look on her Google Docs spreadsheet where she created it and see all the updates as they were coming in. So we found that to be a really good way to use it. And I'm not a designer, and I was able to figure it out relatively quickly. And if you watch David's demo today, you should be able to figure it out pretty easily as well. And for other people, they can use it as a guest book. So if you have a blog that you want to record user comments on, you can use that or get feedback. So you don't have to be a business in order to use a contact form, but if you are a business, it's especially useful. So with that, I'm going to send it over to David so he can start with the demo.
Sounds good. So one of the things that we wanted to do pretty much the moment we open up or create a new site is we almost always need a contact form. Different types of forms, almost always need one. And thankfully, there's a way like Lisa said, to create it using Google Docs. I'm going to switch to the screen share, and I'm going to try to go slowly so everything can keep up. So hold on a sec. All right. So right now you're seeing a test blog of mine, one that I test new features out and play around with, and you'll see that I've created a contact page. Does that look like it's flipped at the moment, or is that okay?
It looks good.
Okay. It's showing it's reversed for me in a second. So I've created an empty contact page. You'll see there's literally nothing there. At the same time, if I switch to my dashboard, you'll see I have a contact page and a thank you page, because I also like to have a nice thank you page that I can customize whenever I see fit. So with those two pages created, we're going to head over to Google Docs. So you'll see I have quite a bit of Google Docs set up. What we're going to do is we're going to create a form using Google Docs. So we're going to hit the Create button, and we're going to say Create a Form. And it opens up a form. I'm going to see if I can bump up the font size. So I'm going to call this my contact page. And we're going to have a number of questions. So let's do the first question as the person's name. Then we're going to edit the second one and say email address. And now we're going to add a third one, which is a paragraph text, which is your message. So we now have these three boxes: name, email address, and message. Now I'm going to show you a number of different ways this can be done. One is the simple and easy way, and then we'll get more and more complex as we go. So this is going to be the quick and easy, simple way. So what we're going to do is we're going to go up here where it says More Actions, and we're going to hit Embed. And this gives you an iframe code that basically you simply copy the text, and we can go back to our page, our contact page, click the Edit, and then the HTML tab, paste the message. In this case, I'm going to have to change the width just because I have a narrow page, but doesn't make a difference otherwise. So I hit Update, and now if we go view it, we have a simple contact form. Pretty simple, pretty quick, pretty dirty. If we go back here, we can also close this, and we can do something such as we can put a confirmation message so that you can customize this. Again, this is found by hitting More Actions, Edit Confirmation. So we can type in some text here. And we can also, if let's say you're doing a poll or you want your submissions to be public information, you can check the box that says Publish Response Summary. So if people are, you're asking them a yes or no question, it'll show you a chart of the tally right there. Now what this also created when we did it is it creates a spreadsheet. So you'll see we have our name, our email address, our message. Now if you want to have it so that you get notified when someone makes a submission, you can go up to Tools, then you go down to Notification Rules, and you can check the box that says Email right away if a user submits a form, and hit Save. And now anytime someone submits a form, you'll immediately get notified that there is a new row in your spreadsheet. So there we go. We've just created the first contact page. Pretty quick, not too difficult. I'll post instructions to this as well. Now, should we move into the more complex version? Lisa, or do you want to stop here for a second? All right, I'm getting the thumbs up. So the more complex version is this. So let's say we go back and we get our embed code. Now what if I copy this and I grab the URL out of that whole embed? Basically what it does is I'm going to get to view the form as just the form. Now if I go hit View Page Source, I get to see the HTML of it. If you copy and paste everything from where the form starts to where the form ends, let's see where the form ends. Now I'm getting the raw HTML of that form. So I can go back here and replace this with the actual HTML. What this allows you to do is it allows you to actually style what you want your form to look like. So if I update this, I can now view what the new version looks like. You'll see that it's missing a lot of the extraneous links to Google Docs, a lot of the other stuff, and you can actually just customize this and say, okay, well, I want my fonts to look like this, I want my form fields to look like this, I want my text message to look like this. So if you have a very highly designed blog, getting out of that iframe and actually embedding your HTML allows you to customize it a whole lot more than it did before. It also allows us to do things like redirect to a custom thank you page as opposed to the Google Docs thank you page. So in the beginning you saw that I created, one second, let me go back there. Oops, jump back. You'll see I created a thank you page, which is right here, which currently just says, thank you for contacting us, we'll get back to you right away. So the code that I'm pasting now will be provided after the discussion, but essentially it's a little bit of a redirect that I just pasted that allows me to basically say, when a person submits the form, redirect to my new thank you page. We have to add one little thing here, and then so now if I go back to our contact page, I can say my name is, my email address, and I can hit submit. And now it redirects me to my thank you page without actually leaving my website. At the same time, you'll see my message was recorded. So right now we've got a very editable HTML form that you can use to do with whatever you want it to do. And you can make it look like however you want it to make it look like. At the same time, you can customize that thank you page, which, as you'll see, does not show up in my page listing because I've decided to hide it. Are you seeing this window or no? I can't tell.
Huh, it looks like it's frozen right now.
Oh, okay. Well,
Okay,
I opened up the page list, configure the page list page, which allows you to choose which pages you want to have in your navigation bar.
Right, okay.
I opened that up and I just said, you know, I don't want the thank you page to show up in my nav bar. I just want the home, about, and contact us page. So now we've got a editable HTML form. We've got it notifying you. But let's say that you don't want it to just notify you, but you instead want it to notify your entire team. So for this was actually a recent thing that we started adding into our pages. We've created a way to actually go in and change using Google Scripts, creating a script that can email everyone that's a owner, oops, sorry, I clicked on the wrong URL, an owner of the form, the contents of the form. So you can start this by going Tools, and then going to Script Editor. And again, the script that I'm about to put in here was something that we'll share as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to create an email script. I basically can copy and paste that email script. Are you still able to see what I'm doing? Yep. All right. So I'm going to grab the key from the URL of the form, and I'm going to paste it in here. I'm going to add my email address in the email address field. I can customize this title of the email that I'm going to receive. And if you want, you can have it so that if, let's say, you have multiple people that are on the receiving end, you can actually set it to email all of the editors as opposed to just the email address I have here. This could also be a longer list, a comma-separated list, if you wanted. So this then goes and actually sends the contents of the form submission directly to you. So I'm going to call this email script. I'm going to save it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on the project triggers. So I can set one up to say, on submit, from here, send me an email to me immediately, and hit save. It asks for permission to do it, and I hit authorize. And now authorization is successful. And we are all set. So now, whenever someone submits a form, I'll immediately get notified and get the contents of what that submission was sent to me by email, as opposed to that simply notice that says, come back to your form, you have a submission. So it's just an easier way to get automatic notifications if someone actually makes a submission to your form. Not necessary, but it's kind of nice and seamless in that sense. And again, it comes back and is simply your contact form. And that's the presentation in a nutshell.
All right, thanks, David. So, wow, we ran through that pretty quickly. If you guys are as slow as I am, I'm definitely going to have to go back and rewatch it, some parts of it. But you guys can also, David is very responsive on Google+, so you can also leave comments and he can answer your questions if necessary. I actually wanted to talk about some of the questions or a couple of the comments that people had left on our Plus page, just to address them and make sure that we are answering your questions. Let's see. So, okay. Right, so I got an interesting comment from Rudy DeGroot. He wanted to know that if it would be possible for Blogger to assign an editable template to a contact page instead of manually having to embed the form, because he'd like to be able to have it appear in the Blogger dashboard. So the way that templates work doesn't really lend itself to being available as pulling the information that you gather through a template onto the dashboard. It would have to be kind of its own separate feature. If it, excuse me, if it looks anything like, say, for example, the moderate comment feature. So I don't think that's a very easy task to do. However, I do think that as we've definitely covered a few use cases for having contact forms, and if having contact form is something that's very useful to a lot of users, I would love to hear about it. For me, the easiest way to get a feature prioritized with the Blogger team is to know that there are more people who need it. And if everything that David showed you is really cool, but as you can see, it requires some extra work. It's great that he's figured out how to do it, but if there's a lot of people out there who are like, I need this all the time, and I don't have the kind of time to actually do all these custom things, then if we get a good case for it, then I can present it to the team and hopefully get that prioritized.
I think there's also, we were talking about this earlier, but there's some benefit to having the flexibility to really create your form by yourself. And I think as long as it's really, that there's good instructions and it's easy to do, sometimes that flexibility outweighs having a very standardized options available to you. We've been doing a lot of experimentation with how to mash up Google Docs with Blogger and creating a whole lot of interesting features. So then, once you get started down that path, there's actually a lot you can do in using Google Docs to generate content for your Blogger site, whether it's submitting a form and then being able to pull the results and turn them into line charts and bar graphs and pie charts and interactive presentations. And having that flexibility is something that once you kind of go down that rabbit hole, there's a lot you can do with it, because you can literally use Google Spreadsheets as a mini database, if you will. Just use it like a database table, and then suddenly it opens up a lot of doors for what you can build into your website.
Cool. So there are a couple more things that I'd like to do before we end this Hangout. One is I got a question from Michael Francois. He wants to know how you can post the results of a form or poll immediately in the Blogger post. So I guess showing how to, this would be probably very useful for a poll or a guest book or something like that, but actually embedding the results form into your post.
Right, and let's see if I can switch it back. It's not something that I normally do. However, let's see if I can switch really quick. So when we were in our form, we did have that option of customizing it using those more actions. So let me see if I can switch. Where's my form? So if, let's say, this was a form that gave itself like yes or no questions and was more of a poll, up here in the more actions, you can actually have it publish a response summary. So once they've submitted results, it will show you a bar graph, I believe, of the results that have been submitted so far. So if, let's say, you had 5 yeses and 2 nos, it'll show you a bar chart of the submitted responses. What I think you might be hinting at is how to query the database, query the spreadsheet to generate custom responses and embed them, which is a much more challenging thing to do. However, it is not impossible. I will actually, I know I have that page bookmarked where you can use Google Docs to pull that information and how to query it and how to use the JavaScript API that Google provides to create that information. I'll post it afterwards if I can pull it up real quick. But there is a whole code base available and examples of how to turn a Google spreadsheet and embed a JavaScript code to pull the results of that spreadsheet and turn them into those presentations. This is not that. However, you can also do it a different way. So I'll follow up.
Okay, cool. I guess what I was thinking about actually was I have in the past taken the results page and embedded that into, as long as you make the results public, right? If you share that results page publicly, which is actually just your basic spreadsheet, you can actually take the snippet for that particular, not the contact form, but the results page, and then embed that into your blog. You can have it right underneath your contact form so that it basically shows up, after someone submits it, they can see the response below it.
Right. I think that's actually, let me find it real quick.
I mean, it works pretty similarly to, effectively it turns into like a comments page, which you kind of already have through Blogger by just posting comments to a post, but if you like the guestbook format, then that's the way you would do it.
Right. I mean, the other way, and this doesn't get to the full answering of the question, but if I screen share, under File, you can publish your results here, and then it shows you how to publish and how you want them to publish. So if you want, you can publish them as a web page, as HTML to embed it into the page, and this will embed those results wherever you want them to be as well. So this is the other method of doing it besides that redirect at the end of the submission. So if you wanted a results page that was different than a thank you page that people could go to, this would be the way to do that. And again, this was by going to File and then going to Publish to the Web. And then there's a whole bunch of different options that you can do.
Cool. Oh, and it makes automatically republishes it on a certain interval. So
exactly.
That's cool. Awesome. Okay, and then did you have any examples of ones that you've made just to show our users of what you can do with customizing a contact page?
Yep. Give me 1 second to pull some up.
Okay.
This is a site that we created recently that has, I believe, a number of different ones. For example, the contact page on here. You'll see we actually have 2 forms in the same page. We have one that's over here that's to go into a media section, and we have this one which is a more generic contact sign-up form with name, first name, last name, email address, and so forth.
So these are all created with spreadsheets.
Exactly. They're each their own spreadsheet. But because I can embed them in the HTML wherever I want, I can have multiple forms in the same page. So I can just copy and paste them where I see fit. At the same time, you can also do fun things with Google Spreadsheets, which is, for example, this page is actually all generated by a Google Doc spreadsheet. So each one of these images is being pulled from a spreadsheet form, and using JavaScript, I can actually pull the RSS feed to generate this page dynamically. That page is a little bit more complex than what we just went through, but it is possible to do. That one kind of looks like, where is it? Looks more like this. So it's just another form using Google Spreadsheets being used to generate a unique HTML page within your Blogger site. So, like I said, once you start realizing how you can start interacting between Google Docs and Blogger, there's a lot you can do to generate really interesting pages because you can use this as its own mini database.
Cool. Thanks, David. Okay, I'm just going to look through the questions and do a quick sweep before we end the Hangout and see if there's anything else we missed. Oh, it looks like someone created a contact form and wanted to show us. Thanks.
Well, that was quick.
Okay, let's see. Another person asked about if there would be tighter integration between Blogger and Docs, and ideally it would be. Blogger, as you know, is more popular as a consumer product, meaning they're not generally used for businesses. They're usually used by people who have an interest or something and they just want to keep a journal about it. So there's not this kind of like immediate need for docs to be easily embeddable into Blogger, and we do give you the options via, inserting HTML snippets and whatnot. But as I mentioned earlier, if it's something that users find very useful, please let us know, and we want to hear about it. We want to hear about what things you want to, what plans you have for your blog, and why that might need to have easy integration with Google Docs. And I'm happy to take that up with the Blogger team as well as the Google Docs team. So perhaps in the future we can have tighter integration. Okay, cool. Well, David, thank you so much again for doing this Hangout and showing us all these cool tips. A bunch of people have left comments, and many of them seem like they didn't actually know about the power, being able to add this simple feature into Blogger. So I'm glad we were able to help some people today.
Most definitely. Sounds good.
Yeah, and please, if there's anything else that you guys are curious about, David is, he's got a lot of hacking tricks up his sleeve. So if you have questions about other things you might want to hear about via webinar, please leave them for us in the comments, and hopefully we'll be able to arrange that in the near future.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, David. We'll talk to you again soon.
Sounds great. Talk to you soon.
Okay, bye-bye.